Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Twisted Talks. I'm Josh.
I'm Tanya.
And this week is Tanya's week.
Yes.
So she's going to be covering a case. Now, ignore me if I sound different, I'm a little bit under the weather.
Poisoned him.
It's not as bad as it sounds. It wasn't intentional. But guys, if you're cleaning up after animals, don't use bleach. We learned the hard way.
Yeah. Well, no, the issue was I washed the mop heads with bleach and just didn't think about it then when I cleaned up the dog pee. So sorry for poisoning you. Still
it's okay.
Sorry.
At least now I know
Well,
what
I
it's
poisoned
like.
myself as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're lucky. You're the
and
least
Courtney
sick
and
out of the
Jordan.
four of us.
Honestly, and I was...
But I'm like, that's kind of concerning to me because I'm like, does that mean like you're used to ammonia? Because that scares me a little bit for you.
I should hope not. I mean, I don't use bleach on the litter tray because I knew better than to use
Yeah,
cat
on
pee.
the litter
I just
tray.
didn't know that it happened with dog pee as well.
It's weird.
So yeah, lessons have been learned. Lessons have been learned.
But anyway, so yeah, if I well, I know I sound a bit off. That's why I sound off. But anyway, so I suppose with that, Tanya, take it away before I turn into a coughing fit. I'm about to sneeze again.
Oh God.
But
Do you want me to wait for you to sneeze?
no, work away. I'm going to try and suppress it.
Oh.
Don't have time.
Hopefully you don't have an aneurysm. So the topic of today's Twisted Talk is Richard Evonitz.
Yeah, I would say Evonitz or Evonitz.
Evonitz, yeah. So Richard was responsible for the murders of 3 young girls in Spotsylvania County in Virginia, as well as the abduction of another young girl.
County?
Spotsylvania.
What name?
I know, it's like it's giving Hotel Transylvania.
Exactly, but for Dalmatians.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a Dalmatian hotel. He also abducted another young girl. Now, this case does come with a trigger warning for violence and crimes committed against minors, including murder and sexual assault. Now, before we get into anything else, I'm going to give some history on our scumbag of the week, Richard Mark Evonitz. So, Richard was born on July 29th, 1963 in Columbia, South Carolina, to parents Joseph Joe Evonitz and Tess Evonitz. He has 2 sisters, Kristen, who was born in July 1968. I will refer to her as Kirsten at some point. I'm just saying, I'm just warning you, it is Kristen, not Kirsten. But Kristen was born in July 1968 and Jennifer was born in March 1971.
See, now that you've said it, that you're going to refer to as Kirsten, I know for a fact you'll be thinking about it and now you won't. And now it's like you've just made a liar out of yourself because you are going to say it right now.
Yeah, probably.
I'll be surprised if you don't.
I'll be surprised if I don't.
Yeah.
So Jennifer was born in March 1971. Now, according to information I've sourced from a research document that was compiled by Lauren Burnett, Barbara Cannon, Kim Childers and Jacob Jones of Radford University's Department of Psychology, the Evonitz home was not a peaceful or loving environment, to say the very least.
See, this seems to be the story with all of these people
Honestly,
who turn out.
like,
It's concerning.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's awful anyway, but...
I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So on Christmas Eve...
We're already disturbed.
Yeah, I am disturbed. This week has been disturbing. On Christmas Eve, in an unspecified year, Joe Evonitz, the father, choked his daughter Kristen until she passed out for unknown reasons, though I would like to argue that no reason is good enough to choke your child full stop, but especially into unconsciousness.
Yeah.
And
but it's like there was no reason. It just happened.
What was the reason?
Like, even if there was a reason, it wouldn't be okay, but like...
choked his young daughter out till she physically passed out.
That's so dangerous as well, because like the longer you stay unconscious, then it can affect your brain function.
The more at risk you are of permanent
brain damage.
So Jennifer, the youngest of the 3 children, would go on to say of their upbringing, quote, "We lived in a prison. Joe was a very controlling person," and I would like to say it is very telling that she doesn't call him Dad. She refers to him as Joe.
Yeah.
Joe was a very controlling person. He wanted us to make straight A's. If we didn't, we were stupid. It was all about power and control. One quote that she gave from him was, "You'll get an A or you'll get a beating." And she went on to say, I see him as a sadistic man who got pleasure. I know. I saw the pleasure in his face out of making us miserable.
Yeah, because realistically, that's such an unrealistic expectation to have.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to ace everything all the time, and not always going to get A's.
Not unless you're putting yourself under an intense amount of pressure.
Yeah, but like even a lot of people that do, like even fucking some people that are literal geniuses, there might be a moment where they're going to get like a B.
Yeah.
Even the smartest cookies, like.
Nobody's perfect.
Nobody's nerfect.
In the words of Hannah
I don't know
Montana.
what that's actually from.
I think that might be from Hannah Montana as well, or maybe it was like a little meme. But yeah, in the words of Hannah Montana, nobody's perfect. So Joseph Evonitz, the father, if I haven't made that clear, was an alcoholic as well as being controlling and violent. So I think we can all get a sense of how Richard became such a fucked up individual.
Yeah.
Is the only way I can think to phrase it.
Followed in footsteps and went the extra mile.
Yeah. So Joe would frequently physically and emotionally abuse all three of his children, and frequently called Richard a moron and put him down. Now, as we'll find out, Richard he did very well in school.
Okay.
So I think to then be hearing from your father that you're a moron,
even though you're actually doing really well.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing well like you wanted me to, and I'm still a moron.
But I'm still not good enough. Yeah. So Richard graduated from high school in May 1980 at the age of 16. Now I know typically you're 18 when you graduate high school, but
I'm like, yeah, did he skip years, or was it just because different times maybe you can graduate younger back then?
I'm unsure. I couldn't find concrete information on that, but I did find that as a freshman in high school, he was actually on a list of outstanding students, so I would think that it is possible he was able to graduate early.
Yeah. But just casual vice break.
Yeah. His criminal acts seem to have started at around age 20, though there are things that he is suspected of prior to this, such as making obscene phone calls from the age of 13. Now, I am unsure on the full nature of these calls.
So long story short, prank calls, but either abusive or sexually explicit.
Yeah, so it just said obscene, so make of that what you wish. It is also, unfortunately, suspected that when he was 16 years old, Richard began to molest one of his sisters.
Oh, delightful.
Now, at 20 years old, Richard broke into a neighbour's home and stole coins. Now, I don't know if these were like antique coins or what the story was, but he stole some coins.
Yeah, whether it was actual legal tender or antique, we don't know.
So, obviously, the police were involved, the police were called, the police came out, and Richard was defended to the back teeth by his mother, and no charges were filed. In February of the same year, so I never wrote down the year, so he's 20, so it would have been 1983, I think? Yeah, 1983. Richard wrote a rubber check to Kmart for
What's a rubber check?
We'll get there. For $350,000. Now, a rubber check,
it's something that's going to bounce a fake, is it?
Yeah, so according to Investopedia, a rubber check is a check that cannot be cashed due to insufficient funds or a stop payment order that was made by the sender. So in this case, I would assume that it was insufficient funds. But man,
so I guess rubber makes sense because like a rubber band is going to bounce back.
Yeah, like man literally went into Kmart and was like, yeah, here, can you cash this check for 350 grand for me, please?
It sounds like a lot of money to expect a supermarket or a grocery store to be even able to cash. It's a bit unrealistic. Should have said like 500 or 1,000.
And he was 20 and he was meant to be smart.
I guess educationally smart and street smart and
con
artist smart are not the same, apparently.
We are not the same. Now, after this incident, Joe gave Richard a choice. He could live on the streets or he could enlist in the Navy. So later on...
Another one that goes to the Navy.
I swear to God, Josh, I was doing the research and I was like, Josh is going to hate this. He's going to
What is it like? And like even like there's actually...
It must be the structure.
But even the one I'm doing next wanted to be a cop.
Are you kidding me?
But couldn't be a cop.
It's like, I don't know if it's the whole position of power, the authority, the structure, whatever.
And then maybe because they have that position of power and structure, that's why they don't commit the crimes while they're doing it, because they feel in power of something. Yeah. And then afterwards, when they're not there, they lose that power, so they gather it illegally. But clearly, from the face you've just made, he's going to do stuff while he's in the Navy. So in his case, that doesn't apply.
Yeah, you would be correct, my friend. So where was I? Where's Rick?
The K
Oh my god, that actually works though because his name is Richard. Yeah, so he enlisted in February 1983. Now, Richard kept a fairly low profile in the Navy.
Still 20, so when he started it was.
When he started,
yeah.
So kept a fairly low profile in the Navy until...
Here we go.
January 3rd, 1987.
So, 25.
25.
24.
No, 23. 20 something.
23 or 4, yeah, I don't know. Okay,
Old enough to know better.
yes. Matt's ain't matting right now. You guys have probably figured it out while we're still here not knowing what it was.
Yeah, so fair play to you.
What year was it?
1987, so he was born in 1963.
24 then, because he was 19 in 1983, he was 20.
Yeah.
So 87 is another 4 years. So he was either 24 or coming up 24.
At least one of us is good at maths.
Oh, I would have got that so much faster if I wasn't in the brig cadet.
He was... excuse me. He was heading for 24 because he was born in July.
There we go.
Yeah, so the date in question, January 3rd, 1987, Richard was stationed at the Mayport Navy Station in Jacksonville, Florida. He pulled up beside 15-year-old Kelly Ballard, who was walking down the street with her 3-year-old sister.
Oh dear Lord.
And began masturbating in full view of them. Just as you do.
As you do.
Just as you do.
I'm glad he didn't take either of them at least.
The next day, Kelly and her mother noticed him following them in a mall parking lot.
The same.
Same person.
Yeah.
No, she obviously recognised the car. So they took down his license plate, registration number, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And reported him to the police. An arrest warrant was issued for Richard on February 9th for lewd/lascivious acts in the presence of a minor child.
Okay.
Richard was admitted to base hospital around this time after coming back from a mission, is what it said.
Okay.
So he was
Stationed
doing
somewhere or
something,
doing
yeah.
something or whatever.
But had to be admitted to the base hospital for hepatitis. So he was in the base hospital for 5 days and then was released into police custody, where he told police that he, quote, had a problem masturbating in front of girls. That's putting it mildly.
Okay.
On June 30th, 1987...
I mean, I guess at least in trying tonight, he was like, yeah, I'm caught.
He was like, yeah, I did it. On June 30th, 1987, Richard admitted to being drunk during the incident, which, like, you're also drunk driving. But I suppose it was the 80s.
Yeah, did they even wear seatbelts then? Did cars even have seatbelts then?
I know, like, they didn't in the 70s, because I know Dad has, like, the vintage Beetle, and there's no seatbelts in that thing. There is no seatbelts in that thing.
Yeah.
There is no seatbelts in that thing.
They just don't exist.
You get bounced around the place. There is no seatbelts.
For legal reasons, the car's not driven on main roads or anything like that.
No, it's okay. He's insured. He's got the vintage insurance. He takes it for the vintage.
Oh my
insurance.
god! And you're actually allowed in those cars without seatbelts. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then for legal purposes,
But to be
don't
fair, like, the
fuck
car
it
can't
all.
go fast enough to kill you, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, I forget the cars then wouldn't be the same
Yeah.
speed-wise as cars now if this fly doesn't fly in a different direction.
So where was I? Yeah, so on the 30th of June 1987, for the 500th time, Richard admitted being drunk during the incident and pleaded no contest to his charges.
So that's obviously just, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, I did it. I'm not objecting to the...
Yeah, to the charges
Yeah.
against me or whatever.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Mood.
Sorry, I'm so tired today. He was fined $252.50.
What's with the 50 cents? Just round it up to 53 or leave it at 52?
Yeah. And he was also given 3 years of probation and was also required to have a mental health evaluation and treatment from a psychosexual counsellor. His punishment from the Navy was so severe.
Oh, sarcasm is strong.
It was so severe. He was demoted from Petty Officer 3rd class to Petty Officer 2nd class. They really taught him a lesson. In March 1988, the Navy sent Richard to a rehabilitation centre for alcohol abuse. And on August 11th, 1988, when Richard was 25 years old, and I want everyone to keep that number in their minds. Okay?
Which one? The age?
He was 25.
Okay.
Yeah. He married Bonnie Lou Gower, I would say.
I love the name Bonnie.
Bonnie was 16 years old.
Oh. I suppose that was
Sorry, that noise you made.
sometimes normal back then. Yeah, I don't know where that noise came from. I mean, I feel like that happened a lot back then. I'm not saying it's okay, but I feel like it happened a lot.
Still weird, but
It's still weird, but I think, but it's also extra weird
both.
because it's him and because of jerking off in front of girls.
Like, when you think about it, Elvis Presley was known to be a fan of the old 16-year-olds, the old young ones, the young ones.
Yeah.
And I think, is it Jerry Lee Lewis is his name now? Jerry Lee Lewis took it a step fucking further.
He's just another bad person.
Because I think he was 19. Let me double check my facts. Let me just double check my facts. 1 second.
The little kind of hold music, but also the end of the word there.
Ba, 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 ba. So Jerry Lee Lewis, at the fine, ripe old age of 22.
The fine, ripe old age. Okay.
She says, knowing she's going to be 26 in like 3 weeks. Married Myra Gail Lewis Williams, who was his first cousin once removed, and she was 13. She was 13.
That's an interesting
She
one.
was 13. And he was born in 1944, so this would have happened in the 60s, because he was 22.
So strange. And was this guy someone who ended up being convicted of something, or is this just someone who ended up famous?
He was a singer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, anyway. So, sorry. At least the tangent was slightly on topic this week.
No, yeah, it was.
So, yeah, married
a 16-year-old.
A 16-year-old married Bonnie.
Well, he
she
was
16.
25.
He was 25.
Like, we're 25. Well, you're nearly 26, and I'm not far off 26 either.
Yeah.
But, like, I could not
Before-
imagine even being with someone that's 16. Don't even fucking mind marrying them.
I'm just on that whole vibe of, if they're younger than me, they can get to fuck. Like,
I prefer older than me
just
anyway.
get to fuck. Well, to be fair, if you're around my age, it's fine.
Yeah.
Any younger than that, no. It's a no.
You have to be pretty fucking special.
It's a strong no. Well, even at that. So Bonnie would later tell investigators that they had a normal sex life, even though Richard would come home, blindfold her, and rape her for 3 hours. Like, this poor girl, because she was so young, like, realistically, he was probably her first sexual experience.
Yeah, and I'm like, we know the context of that? Was it, like, obviously either way it makes no fucking odds, but, like, I'm just curious, does it mean rape as in statutory because of her age, or was it actually rape as in she didn't even want it either?
I believe it was both.
Okay.
But I suppose because he was her husband, he was probably her first sexual experience.
Yeah.
Because she was so young, like, it's what's the phrasing?
And we're also, what years were we in? The 80s?
The 80s. It was her normal. Like, she was learning about sex from him.
As far as she was concerned, it was her job as a wife.
Yeah, like, she viewed it as normal, like, to the point where she told
I do not agree
investigators.
with that, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if you're married to someone and you're not in the fucking mood, or you don't want to, no is no.
No means no. So, yeah, was just terribly mistreated and thought it was normal. God love her. In November 1989, Richard enlisted for another 3 years in the Navy, and on November 6th, 1992, he left the Navy with not only an honourable discharge, I knew you were going to make that face, but also the Navy Achievement Medal for Leadership, a Navy Good Conduct Medal. Sorry, what about the time he masturbated?
So basically
in front of
several
two
pats
girls?
on the back, as well as
What about the
honourable
time he
discharge.
What about the time he had to hand him over to the guards because he masturbated in front of a 15-year-old and her 3-year-old sister? How's that good conduct? How is that good conduct?
The thing is, do you know what? Today it's a very good day. Like, in the sense that we're not on videos yet. Because first of all, the absolute fucking state of me.
Yeah, I won't even lie to you, yeah.
And the faces I'm making. Now,
Yeah.
luckily the colour has come back in my face.
You're not
to some
grey.
extent.
You're not grey anymore, but look.
But, like, I was kind of grey last night as well.
Really?
Yeah. But we move.
So he also got two Jesus Christ. 2 Coast Guard Meritorious Unit ribbons, whatever the fuck that is, a Sea Service Deployment ribbon, and a National Defence Service medal. So this man got about 6 pats on the back. As you do. Now, after leaving the Navy is when Richard moved to Spotsylvania, and began to work in Fredericksburg as a salesperson at Kaiser? Kaeser? Kaiser? I'm going to say Kaiser.
Kaiser or Kaiser, one or the other.
Kaiser? No, Kaiser.
I feel like I've heard Kaiser before, but I don't know what context or if that's to do with a business or to do with a name or a...
I'm going to say Kaiser.
My brain just stopped.
Kaiser feels right.
Tomato. Really.
So, worked in Fredericksburg as a salesperson at Kaiser Compressors, where it said that his female colleagues... Sorry, lads, I'm tired, okay? I'm tired. Where it said that his female colleagues avoided him for his tasteless jokes and the fact that he only spoke about women in a degrading manner and had anger issues. I would avoid him too.
Yeah.
In June 1993, Richard broke into a home where 2 young sisters were home alone.
Oh God above.
He brought... Now, there is some debate on the colouring of these handcuffs.
Okay, but handcuffs anyway.
Yeah, now some sources say they were fuzzy blue handcuffs, other sources say they were fuzzy pink handcuffs, and I think
I feel like it's easier to get fuzzy pink nowadays anyway.
Yeah.
They're the ones you see the most, but I don't know about back then.
Now, I do think in my own research here, at one point I have fuzzy blue, at another point I have fuzzy pink, so it could be that it was 2 different pairs, because this was 1993, and then the other mention of it is in 2002. So he had brought...
But furry handcuffs anyway.
Yeah, he had brought fuzzy blue handcuffs and a .25 caliber semi-automatic handgun. He locked the 11-year-old girl in the bathroom and proceeded to rape the 13-year-old girl, but was never a suspect in this case until much later. And obviously, because these were minors, I couldn't find information.
And to be honest,
bar what I have here.
Yeah.
Now this all brings us to August 1996, when Bonnie left Richard.
Good woman.
As she felt lonely and unloved. She had been having an online affair and left him for the man that she had been having an affair with. To which I say, I don't condone cheating, but good for you, Bonnie. You fucking go, girl. Leave that man for dust.
Very that.
Leave that man for dust. Fuck these men.
Me there though, but thinking back, I'm like, I wonder how like online dating works back then.
Yeah, because they would have had like dial-up internet and everything.
Do you know what I mean?
Waited about fucking 6
like,
years for a message to load.
Even when I even remember when I was younger that if Mum was on the phone to my aunt in England, I'd be like waiting for them to get off the phone because while the house phone was being used, the internet didn't work.
Insane.
I just wanted to play fucking Club Penguin.
Oh my god, Club Penguin.
And Mum was on the phone and she'd be on the phone for ages and I'd just be there fucking playing Minesweeper offline to try and keep myself busy while I wait for Club Penguin to be available again.
But isn't it crazy that like we can remember that and look at where the internet is now and we're only 25?
Yeah, it does show a lot in a short space of time.
So we're kind of over Richard now. We're done with him. We're done with his history and his shit. Bonnie was clearly done with his shit.
Yeah.
Dead right. On September 9th, 1996, 16-year-old Sofia Silva gathered up her homework and a soda and went out to the porch of her family's home in Spotsylvania County. Sofia is described as kind-hearted and down-to-earth and was the light of her family's lives. She was also known to be caring and always willing to help someone who was in need.
Did you already say what age she is?
16.
Okay.
Always willing to help someone who was in need and was sociable and well-liked in her community. Sophia's older sister Pam stayed inside the house while Sophia went out to the porch to finish her homework and enjoy her soda.
To be fair, she's 16. You're not going to think she needs supervision on her porch.
Not too long after Sophia had gone outside, Pam called out to her, and when she received no response, she went to check on her younger sister.
Oh shit.
Only to find the porch empty and no sign of Sophia. Pam was immediately concerned and contacted their parents, which in turn led to the police being called. Search parties were immediately put together and sent out. The detectives even involved sniffer dogs, and it said that they left no stone unturned. Unfortunately, Sophia wouldn't be located until a month later.
Oh no.
When her remains were found wrapped in a blue blanket and floating in a stream near State Route 3. Medical examiners stated that she had been killed within days of going missing and that she had been sexually assaulted before being strangled.
That's what gets me the most though, when people have to wait so long. Like, it's horrible all around, and I'm sure I've said it before, but it's just the fact of holding out that hope, like,
only to find out that like
for the majority of that time you're holding out hope they were already gone.
It's awful. Like, I honestly cannot
yeah.
even imagine. So investigators believed that they had actually found Sophia's murderer fairly soon after the discovery of her body. There was,
I'm assuming wrong suspect.
Yeah. There was a man called Carl Michael Rush, I don't know, it's Roush,
Yeah, I don't even know where to... Yeah.
Carl Michael.
But that guy.
Carl Michael. So Carl had shown interest in Sophia and had been seen interacting with her on several occasions and had several charges like indecent exposure and traffic violations to his name, which I wouldn't really say amount to murder, but whatever.
Yeah, traffic violations,
yeah.
like...
Additionally, there were fibres found on Sophia's body that were believed to have come from Carl Rouche's vehicle, and this led to his arrest. He was later cleared by forensics, though he did spend 5 months in custody, and investigators were soon faced with another murder that was very similar. So on May 1st, 1997...
did you say he was in custody?
For 5 months.
And obviously then that happened while he was in custody.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. So on May 1st, 1997, Ron Lisk returned to his home, once again in Spotsylvania County, to find his daughters, 15-year-old Kristen, we have another Kristen, not Kirsten, Kristen, and 12-year-old Katie were missing. Kristen and Katie were very close and were also very close with their parents. They were, I suppose, what you'd call a very tight-knit family.
Yeah.
And Kristen and Katie loved spending time with their friends, and much like Sophia, were very sociable young girls who loved to make new friends and were always willing to help someone in need. When their dad returned home that day and the girls weren't there, he immediately gathered a team of volunteers to search for them. But when hours later they had no luck finding them, he involved the police. The police utilised every resource available to them, but still there was no sign of the two girls until 5 days later, when their bodies were found in the South Anna River, around 40 miles away.
So their bodies were found sooner
than Sophia's had been, yeah. So they were found in the South Anna River, which was around 40 miles away from their home.
Okay.
Okay, beep beep. Medical examiners...
I don't even know if the microphone picked it up, I assume it did.
Beep beep. Medical examiners stated that both girls had been dead for some time and both of them had been sexually assaulted and strangled.
Very same as...
Yeah, so the exact same MO, right down to them being found in a body of
I feel
water.
so bad for that guy just based on what traffic violations, got 5 months in prison.
Yeah, obviously.
Like, talk about jumping to conclusions.
I know. Now, there wasn't a lot of evidence or leads for the detectives to go on, and I assume this could be because the girls were found in a river, and obviously it's going to wash away and contaminate, and and the fact that they'd been obviously been dead for at least 3-4 days at that point. Who is beeping? Don't be rude. At least we're not out in my car. Yeah, for once, guys, we're recording in the sitting room.
Yes.
But they did notice the similarities, the investigators did, between the Lisk sisters' murders and the murder of Sophia Silva.
Okay.
Now, sadly, despite the efforts of the police department, there would be no breakthrough in the case until 2002.
And this was back in
96, 97. Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, compared to some cases, that's not a big gap, but it's still a long ass time to not have answers, not find the right person.
Yeah, like that's what, 6 and 7 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I should know, but I'm not good at maths. So moving on to the next section of our case, I suppose, we have Cara Robinson. So Cara was born to parents Ron Robinson, what a name, Ron Robinson, and Deborah Johnson, and grew up in a very loving home in Columbia, South Carolina. In 2002, Cara was a normal 15-year-old girl who loved spending time with her friends, was close with her parents, and had aspirations of success for her future. On June 24th, 2002, Cara was spending time at a friend's house, and she was in the front garden watering flowers when an unknown man pulled into the driveway. He was driving a green Pontiac Firebird and asked Cara if she wanted to buy some magazines. Now, sources differ on the specifics here, but either Cara told the man that her friend's parents weren't home, or she was simply looking at his selection of magazines, and it was at this point... looking at his selection of magazines at this point, but either way, the man put a gun to Cara's neck and forced her into a large plastic storage container in the boot of his car. Trunk, if you're American. I say his car, but I'm fairly sure it was actually his mother's car.
Right.
So the man, Richard, obviously, took Cara to the apartment that he lived in with his wife, who was out of town at this point in time, as was his mother. He carried the bin inside before proceeding to tie Cara to the bed and sexually assaulting her. He even made her watch the evening news.
Sorry, I know you already said it. What age was she again?
15.
15,
yeah.
Okay.
You got a bit of brain fog going on?
Yeah.
It's okay. So he tied her to the bed, sexually assaulted her, made her watch the evening news to see if there was any mention of her abduction, and then he tied her to this homemade wooden apparatus that basically left her spread eagle.
Okay. So like something that could be consensually used in bondage and BDSM and stuff, but in this case, it was, yeah.
Alright, Jake.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't even know Jake was here.
Yeah, he's in his room. He just woke up, clearly.
Hi, Jake. So he also forced Cara to watch like obscene child pornography from his own collection. And every now and then he would pause it and assault her again.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting.
I don't even understand how, whether it's nowadays or in the past, how people seem to so easily get their hands on that kind of material.
See.
Well, actually, do you know what? More so even in the past. Because now with modern technology, obviously there's all these encrypted ways about things.
I'm pretty sure, like, when the time comes and his house is being searched, they find videos of him.
So, like, yeah, some of them are, if not all of them, are home videos.
It's him abusing children, or videos of him masturbating to child porn, or they found, like, kids' underwear.
Yeah.
It was just disgusting. So, now, just like the case I covered from my last episode, Shasta Groney, Cara Robinson is resilient, she is smart, and she had been seriously underestimated by Richard Evonitz. Like, seriously underestimated. Good. So he held her captive for a torturous 18 hours, during which time she diligently followed his every command. And when he finally fell asleep, Cara managed to wriggle free of her bindings and took off running. And she ran all the way to the police station to report what had just happened to her with a pair of fluffy pink handcuffs still attached to her wrist.
Yeah.
So, Lexington County Sheriff James R. Metz said to the Washington Post, quote, "She was able to give us information down to the exactness of what was in the apartment." And by the way, this includes the serial number of the storage box that she had been kept in.
Fair fucking play.
The girl memorised the serial number.
Like, fair play. To even think to memorise those things.
I wouldn't think of that. I would not think of that.
Now, I know everyone acts different when you end up in a situation or something like that. You know, you might surprise yourself. But, like, still.
Impressive.
Yeah, very.
Now, once reunited with her family, Cara was able to lead investigators back to the apartment and was even able to pick Richard Evonitz out of a photographic lineup. Now, at this time, Cara's name was not being released because A, she was a minor, and B, she was a rape victim.
Yeah.
When Evonitz had woken up and realised that Cara was gone, he took off. He fled to Sarasota, Florida, rightly fearing that she had gone to the police, which, obviously.
Duh. But, hang on. So, he went to a different state.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was, I get what you would do.
Hold on.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, because he was in, this happened in South Carolina and then he went to Florida.
So I'm like, he went to a different state, so I'm like, am I not right in thinking that, like, fair enough, obviously it makes sense that if you're, like, a fucking arsehole scumbag of the week like that, you're going to try and get as far away as possible.
Yeah, like, you're going to cross state lines.
If you cross state lines, does that mean jurisdiction can be handed over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation? Like, so you're making the big boys able to come after you by crossing state lines? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he basically just made things worse.
Yeah. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
So Richard had hidden out at a motel for 2 days in Jacksonville, Florida, before calling his sister Jennifer and asking her to meet him at an IHOP. Which I was researching this and I was trying to remember what IHOP stands for, but I think it's
like a pancake place, isn't
International House of Pancakes. I think that's what it is. So Jennifer agreed, but instead called the police and turned him in. Go on, Jennifer, you good thing.
Yeah, like, you know, I don't care when people are related, like, there's right and wrong.
And this kind of made me think that maybe she was the sister that he molested. Or maybe she just has morals.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then when Richard arrived at the IHOP and saw the police, he sped off, he took off, he cut dash.
Yeah.
He cut dash. He was doing speeds of 120 miles per hour.
Miles?
Miles per hour, with no lights on and going the wrong way in traffic.
And like 120 kilometres an hour is fast enough.
Yeah, 120 miles. I don't even know what that is in kilometres.
It's a lot.
And we're not in my car for me to look at the speedometer.
I'll check now.
But yeah, so like he could have killed even more people doing this. Like, he was going the wrong way in traffic at reckless speeds. I think it was nighttime because it said about how he had no lights on.
Even more dangerous. So 120 miles an hour. Just over, so like basically 193 kilometres an hour.
Jesus Christ, Richard.
So,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ. Now, the police finally cornered Richard on Bayfront... I'm such a stutter today. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Got cornered in Bray, did he?
Yeah, got cornered down in Bray. Cornered him on Bayfront Drive in Sarasota, Florida. And at this point, Richard shot himself in the head with his .25 caliber handgun.
Okay.
Big sad. So sad.
I have to say that is not where I saw that going.
Really?
Like, I mean, I was expecting him to get arrested.
Yeah, fair enough. No, he shot himself. He said, nah, I'm not going to prison.
Yeah.
I ain't going to no prison. So as Richard had committed suicide, this left police free to search his apartment, where they turned up some interesting finds, including a lockbox containing a Virginia newspaper called Fredericksburg Freelance Star from May 2nd, 1997, which was the day after Kristen and Katie Lisk disappeared from their front yard, as well as written directions to the Lisk home and notes that seemed to describe the girls as, quote, 11 or 12, the other 14 or 15, brunettes, very cute.
Ew.
According to Detective James Metz, the directions were pretty explicit. I think he was stalking them. And that was Richard's MO. He would stalk the girls for a few days.
And yeah,
and
like a lot of
psychos. And then find the right moment to strike, and he would pretend to be selling magazines.
Know the
whatever.
routine, know when to kind of put yourself in that position of to approach, and
Now there was another note found in the apartment that had directions as well. I believe this was also found in the lockbox, and these led to another victim, one who hadn't even been considered as linked to Sophia, Kristen, and Katie. In 1996, Baltimore student Alicia Showalter Reynolds' body was found on May 15th of 1996, just outside of Lignum. She had gone missing after leaving her home at 7:30 a.m. on March 2nd, 1996, to drive from Baltimore to Charlottesville to visit her mother, Sadie. Alicia's car had been found near Culpeper Highway, on the shoulder of the southbound highway, with a white napkin placed on it, which apparently indicates car trouble.
Oh.
I've never heard that. Like, I mean, maybe it's just a thing in America.
And maybe it was more of an old-fashioned thing as opposed to
here you just park up and stick your hand
here
up
now,
on.
if you have car trouble, and I'm assuming it's an international thing, you're normally advised to have one of those little fold-up triangles in your...
Yeah, who has those?
So you put on the hazard lights.
Who has those, like?
You do.
Yeah, I do.
Because I'm pretty sure it's a legal requirement now.
Oh, I have one.
Yes, you have two.
I have 3.
4.
I have 4, one for each corner of the car.
Yeah. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know if it's a legal requirement, but I thought it might be.
We'll cover a bit. I have 4 of them. I bought them in
400.
The shop.
There was a sale in bulk.
Yeah.
AliExpress.
There was a shop. I bought them in a shop. So where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, which apparently indicates car trouble. But when the car was inspected, there was nothing wrong with it. Now, it wasn't revealed how Alicia died, but investigators did say that she had likely been murdered on the day of her kidnapping. Witnesses had seen Alicia speaking with a man who was driving a dark Nissan truck, or Nissan if you're American.
I actually wonder, in terms of, I'm going to look it up afterwards, how the company themselves pronounce it.
I haven't a fucking clue.
But anyway.
I haven't a clue. It's probably Nissan or something. And the truck was possibly dark green or dark blue in colour. The man was described as being in his 30s or 40s with medium-length brown hair and no taller than 6 feet. The notes found in Richard's apartment mention 29 North, right onto 663, crossing a highway beginning with the letter G. Now, the area where Alicia's car was found is near Route 3, which I believe Sophia Silva...
Sorry.
Let me just double check. I believe she was found near Route 3 as well.
I believe you said something like that, yeah.
She was found floating in a stream near State Route 3. Now, Route 3 is also known as Germana Highway.
Okay.
And that is spelled with a G. Now, it's not certain whether Richard Evonitz is responsible for Alicia's murder, but he is considered a suspect. And I forgot to say Alicia was 25 years old. And as well, I do believe I got a bit turned around there, and the directions actually led to the body of another woman, Anne Carolyn McDaniel, who was 20 years old, and her burned remains were found on September 22nd, 1996.
And it's so weird as well. Why did he...
Yeah, they're like that bit older.
Okay, obviously he's a suspect with the one whose car was on Route 3.
Yeah.
but not confirmed.
Yeah.
But it's like weird because she's 25, seems a bit old for his MO.
A lot older.
His MO doesn't really match also your one that was found at those directions being burned.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't him.
But I do think as well, a lot of the time when a murder isn't solved, they'll look at every avenue. They'll look at everyone they can. Now, Anne Carolyn McDaniel had cerebral palsy, and she was last seen leaving a group home for mentally and physically disabled adults in a town called Orange.
Oh yeah, I know of that town.
Orange.
I've heard of that before.
On September 18th, 1996, and it was known that she was going to be trying to hitchhike along Route 29. I might have referred to it as Route 23 at some point. I'm sorry if I did. It's Route 29. And it's believed that Evonitz is responsible for McDaniel's murder as well, because the directions did lead to both to her body, but also to Alicia's car.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
So it's like he's either responsible for both or at least one or the other.
Yeah.
You know,
one or t'other.
One or t'other, because why would you have directions to that area when you're doing what you're doing if you hadn't been linked to at least one of them?
Exactly. Now, police would also go on to say that Richard had been on a list of suspects in relation to the murders of Sophia Silva and Kristen and Katie Lisk, but forensic evidence found at the time was not strong enough to force him to submit a DNA test.
Right.
And obviously when Cara was found, there was, I believe, there was fibres from the handcuffs matched, there was fibres, I believe, from the Pontiac.
And they matched, like, and this is on about like they matched handcuffs that your one showed up in 2002.
Yeah,
what was her name again?
Cara.
Thank you.
So the handcuffs that Cara was wearing
wore as she ran into the police station
were obviously the handcuffs that he had used on the other three girls as well.
So that was the evidence they needed to tie to the other cases.
Yeah. Now there is one other case that Richard is linked to, but unfortunately I had so much trouble trying to access the information
about it. And
it's not that the information isn't there, it's that like I couldn't get it was the ad block, and even when I turned off my ad block this thing kept popping up and I couldn't close it. I couldn't get it off the screen to access the information is the issue that I was having.
That's really weird.
And it seemed to be the same on every site that I found. And like I physically, literally, figuratively cannot explain it, but the basics are in 1988, 12-year-old Sarah Cherry was babysitting at a house. I don't know whose house, I don't know if it was a neighbour, I don't know if it was close to her home, but I know she was abducted from that house. And I know she was found a few days later, and I believe she had been sexually assaulted with sticks.
Oh dear God. And
strangled.
Yeah.
And someone did get arrested for her murder. Dennis DeChain, I think his name was.
Okay.
But basically I think the Innocence Project and a couple of other people are working on potentially getting Evonitz's DNA, if there is DNA.
Yeah, if there's DNA
tested against DNA from the case, if there is DNA from the case.
Because they believe that it was him.
Because they believe that it was him.
Because
I know I saw something that apparently he was in the area where her body was found.
Right.
Taking speed, I think it was.
Standard.
Now again, this is just from what I could skim from the article before that like block thing popped up.
Yeah.
So take it with a pinch of salt. But apparently it's known that she was actually alive for 6 hours. I think it was 6 hours after the time that he was in those woods where she was found. And I think her body was found partially hidden under leaves and brush as well. So, as I said, I just couldn't access the information myself, unfortunately.
That's like a strange one though, because it's like he's never seemed that we know of left anyone alive before he's left.
This was 1988 as well though, so it would have been prior to the murders in the 90s, so it could have been part of his MO at that time, I suppose, or it could have been him trying to hide it, whereas later then he started...
But it just kind of like, if that's just the word off from the 80s, it's not really an MO when it's one person.
Yeah, no, it's not like...
An MO is, over time, over multiple victims or instances.
Yeah, so look, as I said, I just couldn't access the information myself, unfortunately, but depending on where you are in the world, you might have more luck than I did if it's something that you want to look into.
It could be a geographic thing.
Yeah, now, just to close out this episode, I want to speak a bit about Cara Robinson, our survivor. So Cara Robinson Chamberlain, as she is now known, has gone on to live a beautiful life. She finished high school and even took up a part-time job doing administrative work at the Richland County Sheriff's Department. She pursued and obtained her bachelor's degree in psychology at the University of South Carolina, and after graduating, she went on to enroll in the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy before becoming a deputy sheriff with the Richland County Sheriff's Department. Now, Cara has worked as a school resource officer, a sex crime and child abuse investigator, and a victim's advocate. She did leave the police force when she gave birth to her first child, and she is now, like, she's very active on social media. That's how I thought to do this case. I came across one of her videos. But she's now happily married with children and living her best life, and that's kind of it for today's case.
At least that's kind of like a
positive of it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, as positive as you can be. But
yeah, like, she seems she's made a life for herself.
She made the best out of the shit hand that she was
and dead. Who knows how long, if she hadn't managed to escape, who knows how long more he would have gotten away with doing things and killing more people.
Because he would have killed her, is the thing.
Yeah.
But no, she seems very resilient, very strong. I really respect the fact that she went into the police force after what she had been through, you know.
Yeah, fair play.
That whole thing of wanting to help others in the way you were helped, I suppose.
Yeah, because I suppose, like you said, first thing she did was run to the police station.
Yeah, straight there. Handcuffs still on her wrist, straight in. Told them everything.
Thank God.
So yeah, that is it for today's case, guys. Sorry we've both had brain frog.
Example of the brain.
Yeah. Very that. We're going to get very that printed on t-shirts.
But yeah, so thanks once again for listening.
Fair play to you.
I'm going to sound just as bad in the next episode because we're recording that next. But hopefully after that, I will sound my normal self again.
Yes.
And as a unit, hopefully we will both have less brain fog.
Hopefully. Jesus Christ, we need to stop sharing brain cells, Josh. It's doing us no favours.
Give me mine back.
It's my turn with it, and you know it.
You didn't have to gas me to get them.
Well, you weren't sharing, okay? You weren't sharing.
Right, but anyway, once again, guys, thanks for listening. And
stay humble, stay kind, stay honest.
And stay safe. Specifically, stay safe.
Whatever you do, don't be a dick.
Very that. And right, so, okay, thanks, guys.
Bye.
Until the next time. Ciao.